This time a little bit because a number of you came up and spoke to me. So today we sold a company. Many of you know Lance, who used to be CTO at the Hive. So Lance's company, Kosei, was sold to Pinterest today. And so what's driving this is basically most publishers have focused on the bottom of the funnel, on the top of the funnel, and sort of enabling advertising and so forth. More and more you see a trend where over time Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, others will have a buy now button, right there. And so kind of being in the bottom of the funnel and effectively competing with search, which is sort of the reason why Google does so well, is it's on the bottom of the funnel and so valuable and monetizable. So that's Kosei. So just a little bit about the Hive. We incubate, fund, launch companies that are applications or use cases driven by data. Kosei is gone, and so you'll see us, none of our companies are viewed as big data companies. They're all in different categories. A bunch of retail and e-commerce services, in the ad tech space, data center, like security and so forth. IoT is a big focus area for us. Foghorn is an application development, deployment, and runtime management platform. And we're in the process of doing something in the security space. CRM, sales, marketing is a whole other area. And Jobber is Tinder for jobs. So basically allows recruiters and potential employees to get connected. We are actively looking for product managers, principal engineers. We rapidly staff up this company, which is relatively small right now. We need to add 8 to 10 people in the next 2 months. So would love to hear from you if you're interested. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Pashu. Our Twitter hashtag is HiveData, so be a part of the conversation. And with that, Pashu.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi everyone, thank you for being here. We have an exciting event tonight, panel discussion moderated by Pramila, and she's going to do a great presentation and demo at the beginning as well. My name is Pashu Christensen. I'm with the Hive, and I'm just going to do a very quick presentation about the Hive think tank for those of you who never came to our events. The Hive think tank is the largest big data community in the world. We have over 6,000 members. You are part of these members. So thank you for being part of the community. It's a community of data scientists, engineers, practitioners, designers, developers, all focused on big data. We host events every Wednesday evening. We have a full agenda of events coming up till April. So these are just a few events that we are hosting in the next weeks. We'll be at Strata with an evening panel discussion on big data and music, and we'll have a fun party after that with DJs from the tech community. And with this, I would like to thank our sponsors, and as well as Accenture tonight for hosting us. And again, let's continue the conversation online. Use our hashtag HiveData. Post pictures, comments, ask questions online, and we'll make sure to read all your comments.
Maybe I'll just talk a little bit about the format for today. So we'll have Pramila, and I'll introduce her in a minute, give a talk, and following that we'll have a panel discussion, and there'll be chance for Q&A. So Pramila is a senior manager at Accenture Technology, which is where we are right now. And as you've guessed, she works in the UAV space, and she has in the past worked at Cisco, Motorola, Orange, AT&T Bell Labs, a whole variety of companies. So with that, I'd like to introduce Pramila.
coming to our facility, is Matt? Matt, are you here? A couple of Matts in the room. No, I'm looking to project my my presentation on the screen. Mic's on. The screen. Presentation. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So. Drones are quite the rage. Even last week at CES, who would have thought that we would have actually had a whole drone zone over there? So we're seeing them coming up a lot more in a lot of different applications. Everything from delivering pizzas and burritos to monitoring pipelines to precision agriculture. There are a number of different applications for drones. So why this interest in drones? Essentially, from a business perspective, the business drivers are to reduce safety exposure. The price tag for human life is, unmeasurable. Increase production, reduce costs, as well as increase competitiveness. And we can see applications of these technologies across a number of applications, from production and manufacturing to package delivery to agriculture, first responder type services, research, exploration, as well as aerial surveillance, which enables us to create platforms that are reusable in a number of different application environments. From a deployment perspective, we actually see drones being deployed in certain applications earlier, and we see a rollout. So for example, if you look at applications like agriculture or aerial surveillance, we actually believe that those vertical markets will be the first to adopt this technology because the opportunity for cost reduction and as well as the complexity, which has to do with the fact that you're in remote areas. If you compare that with, for example, package delivery in urban areas like what Amazon is promoting, there are some complexities in technologies that really have to be solved before we would be able to do that type of thing in that environment. So if you look at the history of this technology, certainly we had the military using UAVs and perhaps even giving it a bad rap. But we see some vendors from the military space starting to move into the commercial place. But interestingly, in the commercial sector, we have a whole new list of players. Everyone from Airware, who's certainly in the room, and Delta drones and 3D robotics, to companies like Drone Deploy, who's also in the room. And really what they're delivering are open, programmable platforms, do-it-yourself type of hardware solutions, as well as solutions that enable end-to-end operations. Now, while many of the experiments with drones have been one-off experiments, so you hear about the BP Alaska story, you've got one drone that's being flown. In reality, what we see is, at least in the enterprise space, companies are going to have to deal with a fleet of UAVs. We actually even spoke to a customer that had a whole department targeted at running and managing and maintaining their UAVs. So it's really, now's the time to think about what we need to do to manage for a fleet, not a flight, to plan for global operations, but there are local regulatory considerations that have to be accounted for. So for those companies that are global companies, they're going to have to balance the two. Design for data collection and analysis, augment business processes with the UAV, so we do have to integrate them tightly into our workflow systems because it is going to change the way we do business. And of course, we have to pay attention to security. Security is not going away. The last thing we need is an incident that gives everyone a reason to doubt this technology. So the first example application that we had been experimenting with within Accenture was pipeline monitoring and inspection. And the reason for this was that, you know, if you have a leak, a 2% leak in a pipeline needs to be found and confirmed within 30 minutes. So the opportunity to react fast, to address the situation, to know about the problem early on so that you can in fact react, creates a great opportunity for this type of technology. And the benefits of using this technology have to do with the decrease of costs in monitoring these pipelines, reduction of safety exposure of the employees, downtime, as well as the ability to address some environmental concerns around potential leaks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate quickly for you a couple of different examples where we were looking at pipelines for oil and gas and intruder detection. Now, when most people fly UAVs today, they fly the UAVs, they collect the data, they land the UAV, pull the SD card out, and process the data. So what we were trying to do was essentially stream the data in real time. And if you can stream the data in real time off of the UAV, then you can do things like alert on intruder detection in real time before the intruder has already inflicted damage. And you can respond to leaks a lot faster than if you're just flying missions, collecting the data, and doing post-processing of that data. And so I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of this. Now, we did not have access to a oil and gas pipeline, and FAA regulations in the US do not permit us to fly. So this was done during a gray area, and you will get quite a kick out of this, because I know you certainly know where the location of this footage is. So this is some footage that we captured from a drone. This is drone footage, but you will notice that the intruder is very, very scary intruder that can inflict a lot of damage. That's me walking a pipeline. It's a water pipeline. And as you can see, our analytics software is able to identify the intruder. Now, we can do full facial detection, but for the oil and gas case, the fact that you've got a person or even a piece of equipment near that area is enough to raise a red flag. We are also in a drought, so there was no water to be had. I thought about creating an oil leak, but thought the better of it. So instead, we created a water leak, and we used that as source data to enable us to build an analytics engine that allowed us in real time to detect the potential leak. Now, if you have this data in real time, what can you do with that data? So over here, you can see that if we're able to detect that data in the cloud in real time, we can then generate alerts on the fly. And based on these alerts on the fly, we're able to instruct the pilot in the field to abort their current mission and go to the source of that intruder, source of that alert, and capture some more footage while the intruder is still inflicting their damage. as compared to after the fact. And then in addition to this, from the cloud, we can schedule our missions, we can control our missions. Everything that we learned about fleet management in other fields applies over here. We need to be able to organize our fleet, make our sensors available, have the pilots on hand in order to be able to accomplish the tasks and integrate that entirely with our workflow systems. So the next area that we explored was the use of UAVs for precision agriculture. So in precision agriculture, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to look at applications such as equipment malfunction or issues with irrigation or disease infestation. And if we can take the data off of the UAV and cross-correlate it with other data that is available on sensors in the ground in the farm, or sensors that are available on the tractors, or weather station data and other data, then that information in real time can translate into decision support systems for the farmers. And so that's an area that we've been working on as well. The third area has to do with rail transit. So in rail transit, we've been looking at, again, this notion of asset monitoring, monitoring the railroad tracks, monitoring them for potential intruders, for potential derailments before they occur, and then post-derailment, first responder type services that can immediately address a situation based on need. And then the fourth area, although it's a little bit further out, is package delivery. Now, package delivery in an urban area, well, perhaps there are lots of issues with respect to collision avoidance and air traffic management and things such as that that need to be addressed. However, the price points, and I draw your attention to Matternet, a company in a startup in Palo Alto. The price points that Matternet has quoted, based on their experimentation in Haiti, to the tune of 20 to 70 cents for the package delivery, is what's making this such an attractive opportunity. And so there have been experiments by several companies looking at doing it again, starting in remote areas where perhaps it's harder to deliver packages, and maybe we can find some solutions over there. And then eventually, I really do believe that at one point we're going to be looking up in the skies and we're going to have delivery to our doorstep. And at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do a little plug for a couple of technical reports that you can get off of the net. So I draw your attention to the Accenture Technology Vision. The 2014 version of the Vision is out there, and it basically highlights the trends that we see occurring, and we update this this Vision document on a regular basis. So stay tuned shortly for the 2015 version, which will be coming out very soon. There's another document which is a point of view, a white paper on driving unconventional growth through the industrial Internet of Things, and please feel free to download that. And the third paper is It's Time for Flying Robots, which highlights some of the material that we are presenting here today. So with that, I would like to introduce our panel. We have Matt Schwartz from Verizon. Please. Mark Davis from Airweb. Brian Galusha from Fight Walrus. And Michael Witt from Protocol. I would like to invite each one of our panel members to present their companies really quickly, and we can go from there to a open discussion. So let's start with Matt.
Hello. Yeah. So definitely, my name is Matt. You may have heard before.
And we need to. Do we have to switch
There
your
were some
slides?
slides, but it's okay. I can, with or without, it doesn't matter. But if you guys get it up, that's great. But so yeah, I'm with Verizon Ventures. Verizon Ventures is the strategic investing arm of Verizon Communications. And while they try to do that, I'll just explain it real quick. So we focus on generally Series B companies. We do some early stage investing through incubators such as the Hive. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. Do you have a clicker? So there we go. All right, yeah. So we take a very collaborative approach to our investments in the companies that we work with. Our goal is to invest in companies that help give us intelligence in certain categories, such as UAVs, but also to help create a platform for the existing Verizon products and services to expand into and to help make everybody's pie grow bigger here. So, oops. We have, you can check out all of our portfolio companies. We have generally over 32 active portfolio companies right now. Our website is verizonventures.com, so there's a whole bunch of information about Verizon and Verizon Ventures and how we invest and what our strategy is. We do a number of programs that outreach to the community as well. We do some categorical focused venture forums where we bring the best of the VC community along with the business community together to focus on certain topics. And usually we'll invest in certain companies that come out of those particular meetings. We also have a global challenge where we outreach to the public around the whole world. It's called Powerful Answers Award, and that's one of the programs that I manage actually. And what it is it's a global challenge. We give away over $6 million in prizes this past year in 4 different categories: healthcare, education, sustainability, and transportation. And it's like a full year process. It's like a 3-phase challenge. And the top winners get $1 million in cash, no strings attached. And the runners-up this year get $250,000 each. So we're just about to announce, we've already announced who the winners were from this past year's challenge, but January 27th in New York City, we're going to announce who actually wins the $1 million prize. So it's really great. It helps the community advance technology in those particular categories. And it also helps bring answers to some of the world's biggest challenges. So that's some of the outreach that we do. And then, so I've been doing some research. We've been working in the UAV space for the last 18 months. This is a kind of logical evolution for Verizon because we have such a big business in machine-to-machine connections in devices, in device management. So we see UAVs as generally another form of machine-to-machine, Internet of Things, and device management, and smarter intelligence. So this is an area that we're experienced in and want to help out. We've also been working, we have an innovation center in San Francisco and also in Waltham, Massachusetts, where we help enable people with physical products to garner cellular connections. So we started about 1.5 years ago with a lot of the local UAV companies that we're developing and helping them get LTE dongles to start testing out what could happen if I put an LTE chip on my UAV. Could I stream video, like you said, or get other data off the device before it actually has to land and get off the transfer? We've actually worked with a few of the partners here today, I think all of them. So we just kind of let these guys go to town and see what they can develop out of that, and some good things have come out of it, which is great. And so from a ventures perspective, I'm putting on my ventures hat now, we also see a lot of investment in this particular space. People are very excited about it from a consumer, military, and commercial perspective. And so I just pulled some data from PitchBook about what's been happening in the VC in corporate investment world in UAVs. And you can see, if you just look at the chart real quick, what happened in the last 3 years is it went from like $48 million in investment in 2012 all the way up to over $230 million in 2014. So there's been an increase in amount of venture investment in this particular space, and all the major corporate companies are playing in it. So Google's made their moves, with their Titan acquisition and other investments, such as their original investment in Airware, and Skydio, which they just announced, or I'm sorry, not Skydio, but, and Facebook has made their particular moves, and of course you guys have all heard about Amazon. So this is a really interesting space, both from a corporate perspective and also from the VC-funded perspective. We're really excited about it because we think this opens up a lot of new use cases across a number of different various categories. So with that, I'll turn it over to these guys.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Mark?
Go.
Hopefully this will work.
There you
All right, so just quick on my background. Well, before coming to Airware, which I joined about a year ago, I was involved with another Silicon Valley startup that we had licensed some technology from Stanford. And so instead of being on a drone or up in the air, it was on the ground. So we had a laser spectroscopy that had a user interface in the car. It would talk to the cloud, and it enabled power companies or utilities to find gas leaks. Some of you in the area might have heard, several years back in San Bruno, there was a PG&E accident. We started working with them. They've deployed a number of the systems. So sort of taking the sensing technology, the internet, a cloud user interface to make actionable decisions to find leaks. The car itself can find a leak driving it through your neighborhoods at normal traffic speeds versus a guy typically walking around looks like a little toilet plunger and crayons. So really advancing the technology. And actually the first thing that they struggled with was the fact that now we were finding about 10 times the number of leaks and a much faster period of time. So how could they deploy their crews? So this goes exactly to your point. New technology completely changes workflows and how people are going to deal with it. So the liability that this exposed was much more scary to them than the risk of other leaks sitting there for a period of time. A lot of talk, there's some sitting over here, the consumer drones. Hopefully this will play since people like videos. Let's see here. Does it work? Hold on. You just click the screen. So just thought that people like watching videos. Think of these consumer drones. They're 40,000 a month going out to the streets, and they're being used for all sorts of things. And here's one of the new ones. Someone's all proud they got their new drone for Christmas, and whoops, it's better with sound. Here's another one. Luckily these GoPros are waterproof. They work even underwater, even though the drone might not even use it for fishing. But as this stuff starts evolving, what people are going to come up with some pretty amazing things with artificial intelligence. And here's one. This is a group that Matt mentioned, Skydio, that Andreessen just invested in. Here is a completely unmanned vehicle flying in a parking garage and not hitting things. So imagine how once you have this capability, what you can do, whether it's indoor inspection, GPS denied inspections, is pretty amazing. And so this is the thing that we're seeing to come out here in the near future, but then taking that to a real commercial perspective. And this is really what Airware is working on, the commercial side. And you can say, hey, just take one of the drones like you see here and use it with PG&E or GE or Siemens just isn't going to happen, as you've learned over the last year. So there's so many different applications, but how are they going to get deployed? And so the commercial challenges, which you mentioned a few. So not only we have a very quickly growing space, but there's compliance issues. There's how do you do this at scale, like you're talking with a fleet. And then at the end of the day, if a company's doing this, they want to make money. So how do they do this and have a return on investment? So if you think of the space first, this is changing as Matt, you've been trying to probably keep up with what's going on with the technology. You take any slice, agriculture, mapping, inspection, oil and gas, there's service providers, there's drone manufacturers. We're currently tracking about 670 commercial drone manufacturers, not even counting consumer. And then you have all this other software that enables certain things. And then, so that's the first piece. What the heck, if I'm PG&E or somebody, how do I deal with all this stuff that's coming out? Then you have compliance. Everyone's, we'll talk later, I think, with the panel about the FAA, but you've got design assurances, operational assurances, you got the hardware and certification, and then you have insurance. if a drone crashes and causes an issue, the FAA sort of gets a black eye for a little bit, but the insurance companies are the ones that are paying out millions. So there's all sorts of insurance compliance requirements, and then corporate compliance and following your workflows and SOPs. And then, as you mentioned, I won't go into this, is doing it at scale. Fleet management, operators, training. How do you make sure that what a commercial company wants is it to be the most boring drone in the world. It does the same thing day in, day out. It's reliable and just does its job, and the data goes where it's supposed to go. So the cool stuff sort of goes away and it just does something. And then you have these new technologies that are coming out, whether it's new radar devices, this solar right here in San Jose, the company Alta Devices. You can put this solar skin on, like say, a fixed wing vehicle, and it'll go from flying 2 hours to 8 hours if there's daylight. And then having high precision, cost effective GPS devices for precision ag and other applications, or finding those leaks as you talked about. Anyway, so you got lots of apps, tons of different vehicles and sensors and payloads and software, and really what Airware is this middle piece that pulls it together, as well as really addressing the compliance. And so what we do actually is we have hardware that's on the vehicle, we have a user interface, and then the cloud that serves up so groups like Accenture or Verizon, whoever, could build their specific applications on top of it. So it's, ground control, whatever the vehicle is. So we're vehicle agnostic, payload agnostic, and then basically have a developer community up in the cloud. We'll get into that. And we have about 70 employees now, so we're back first round. The first investment was Google Ventures and Andreessen Horowitz, and then we just did a Series B with Kleiner Perkins. And then about a month ago, GE Ventures invested in us for a strategic reason. So it's like really focused on the commercial side, and also when you mentioned hiring, we're hired lots of developers and software people as well. That's it.
So I'm Brian Galusha, I'm co-founder of Fighting Walrus, and we're kind of focused on taking those drones he showed crashing and making them easy to use. So a lot of those errors, not all, but a lot of those errors is just the pilot. So the pilot not knowing how the sticks work or something's reversed, and so we're basically trying to bring it and make it really easy to use and expose a whole new audience to the drones, which is now heavily in the tech savvy kind of do-it-yourself space, and move it to the consumer while still making it easy enough to use that you can go do something. So a lot of people love to just fly drones, but it's another thing I want to do something with it. I want to take a picture of myself, the flying selfie, or droney as it's called, those type of applications. And so our first step has been to move to iOS, is to make it work on iOS. So it's a hardware software solution, a little widget sticking on the end, works with drones like those two on the table over there. But that's our real focus, is how can we make this easy to use and expose it to a whole new audience that isn't using it today.
Cool. So yeah, we're also a drone company. We're a little bit different. We mostly focus on software more than anything. I think the biggest thing that people don't know about drones is actually how to use them. Everyone says I've got this awesome drone, and in the consumer space now I can take a droney. In the commercial space, you can do very cool things, like use it over pipelines, over railways. You can build 3D models. You can detect how fast things are growing. But what people don't really talk about is that gap in between. How do you get your drone to do something? And right now, that's exceedingly complicated. You need domain expertise. There's between 50 and 100 steps to do that farming use case, to actually use the several pieces of software that you actually need to get your drone flying first, get your camera operating at the right time, get those images off the camera with an SD card, get your drone plugged in to get the logs, so you get the GPS coordinates, and then pass it through very complicated software to stitch the images and then do the post-processing after that. What we do is we kind of smash everything together, and we do that by using the cloud. We pretty much, one of the only companies using putting drones directly on Excel. Our drones are part of the Internet of Things, and we do that by making, unfortunately, a small piece of hardware that sits on a drone, it plugs into a cellular modem. And now your drone can be controlled from anywhere in the world. You can control an unlimited number of them. You can get that data back in real time, any type of data, and you can process that data in real time. So the farmer doesn't have to go home, get his 300 photos, and go through several 50 steps or 100 steps to get the data he needs. He can actually get that data in real time and start taking actions. And I have a quick video that's to show off if that would work. Just to show you kind of the, I can't do it from here, if only. just to show just how easy drones can be. This is definitely on the it'd be interesting. I would have liked to show you a comparative example, but basically this is how in this case, a surveyor can get a drone to fly in the air and build a very, very accurate model of the land underneath it. And that model, we don't show it there in real time, but it does actually appear in real time. It's like a computer game when you lift the fog of war and actually see what's underneath you. You can get that, and you can get that imagery to up to a 2 centimeter resolution. Let's see if it plays. Otherwise, it's on our website, so you can just check out our website. At some point it will play, but we can start the panel discussion.
Okay, so thank you for that.
What are the names of the companies in the last two speakers?
Sorry.
Fighting Walrus is the name of the company?
And we're a drone deploy. Well,
There we go. Okay.
basically you can see it works on any device, mobile, could even work on a smartwatch, computer, whatever. It's very easy to actually make anything work. You just got to click a few buttons. This is actually the end of the video where you can see the results. That's an elevation map. You can actually get very accurate view in how the elevation of land. You can get 3D model and stuff like that. So you missed the front. So you can rewind it. And for context, like normally this process would take a Windows computer, generally on the ground, many, many steps to actually achieve this. We do, as I was saying, those 50 steps. In this scenario, we combine it into 3. And press launch, and just throw. And while it's flying, you get that map back.